In 10 minutes, you will discover how ancient superstition, wartime scarcity, and toxic shells shaped the way nuts changed our history. So, what secrets are hidden beneath the shell? Botanists draw a sharp line where most snackers see none. Peanuts, for example, belong to the legume family, closer to beans than to walnuts or pecans. Their story starts above ground as yellow flowers bloom and then send slender stems called pegs diving into the soil. Underground, these pegs swell into pods, each one filled with the seeds we roast and salt. This odd growth habit baffled early farmers, but it also gave the peanut a secret weapon: the ability to fix nitrogen and heal exhausted soils. In the American South, George Washington Carver seized on this trait. From his Tuskegee lab, Carver published bulletins listing more than 300 ways to use peanuts, including flour, milk, soap, and even paint. His mobile workshops rolled through cotton country, showing families how this humble legume could rebuild the land and their fortunes. Almonds, by contrast, hide inside the pit of a fuzzy fruit, a close cousin to peaches. Sweet almonds fill breakfast bowls and bakeries, but their bitter relatives harbor amygdalin, a compound that turns into cyanide when crushed or chewed. Eating just a handful of bitter almonds can be deadly. Today, nearly 80% of the world's almonds come from California's sun-baked orchards, harvested by machines that shake the trees and sweep the nuts into rows. Cashews present another twist. The cashew nut dangles beneath a swollen, red fruit called the cashew apple. But the real danger lurks in the shell, which is packed with urushiol, the same chemical found in poison ivy. Workers in Vietnam and India, where most cashews are processed, use steam and careful handling to avoid painful burns. Only after this hazardous step do the creamy, kidney-shaped nuts reach store shelves. Even within a single handful, the world of nuts is stranger than it seems. Across ancient empires, nuts carried meanings far beyond the kitchen. In Roman times, walnuts were known as Jupiter's acorns, a gift worthy of the king of gods. Their brain-like shells inspired medieval doctors to prescribe them as remedies for head ailments, convinced that nature left clues to a food's healing powers. Pistachios, prized for their green hue and rich taste, were cultivated in the Middle East nearly 9,000 years ago. They appear in the Bible, sent as rare treasures by Jacob to Egypt. For centuries, pistachios signaled wealth and hospitality, reserved for royal tables and lavish feasts. Hazelnuts, or filberts, have been foraged across Europe since the Stone Age. But their biggest moment came during World War II, when cocoa shortages in Italy forced confectioners to get creative. In Turin, Pietro Ferrero blended local hazelnuts with a trickle of cocoa, creating a sweet, spreadable paste. This wartime invention would eventually become Nutella, now devouring a quarter of the world's hazelnut crop each year. Even as times and tastes changed, nuts traveled the trade routes, their scarcity and symbolism making them both currency and comfort. From Roman banquets to modern breakfast tables, these old-world staples have shaped cultures and economies, connecting ancient legend to everyday life. Macadamia nuts are notorious in the world of agriculture. Their shells are so tough that standard nutcrackers shatter long before the nut gives way. Industrial processors use hydraulic presses, sometimes applying up to 900 pounds of force to break each shell. Even after the harvest, the work is far from over. Macadamia trees demand patience. Growers wait 7 to 10 years before a single nut can be picked for market. This slow start, combined with the cost of specialized machinery, helps explain why macadamias often command premium prices. Pecans tell a story written into their very name. The word comes from the Algonquian language, and it means a nut requiring a stone to crack. Before the age of steel tools, Native Americans relied on rocks to break open the tough shells. Today, pecan orchards stretch across the American South, with some trees standing 100 feet tall and living for centuries. Harvesters still need heavy-duty equipment to gather and sort the crop, echoing the challenges faced by the first foragers. Pine nuts, prized since ancient Rome, are another lesson in labor. Each edible seed hides inside a pine cone, which must first be collected by hand, often from heights of 60 feet or more. After drying for weeks, the cones are cracked open and the tiny seeds are extracted one by one. It can take more than 20 hours of work to produce a single kilogram of shelled pine nuts. This painstaking process is why pine nuts are among the most expensive ingredients on the shelf. Across continents, nuts have shaped rituals, cravings, and even public health debates. In South and Southeast Asia, the areca nut, better known as betel nut, remains a daily habit for more than 600 million people. Chewed with betel leaf and lime, it delivers a mild buzz, stains teeth red, and is woven into ceremonies from weddings to business deals. But doctors warn of a darker side. A public health expert explains that betel nut is culturally important, but regular chewing increases the risk of oral cancer. Some governments have tried to ban public spitting or restrict sales, yet the practice endures, balancing tradition against medical warnings. Kola nuts, native to West Africa, once powered long journeys and late-night storytelling. Their bitter taste hides a jolt of caffeine, enough to spark the original recipe for Coca-Cola in 1886. Even today, kola nuts are chewed for energy and shared as symbols of hospitality, linking ancient customs with modern brands. In North America, hickory nuts fueled generations of indigenous diets. High in fat and calories, they were pounded into meal or boiled for rich nut milk. But the hickory tree's value stretches further. Its wood slow-burning and fragrant, prized for smoking meat, and infusing barbecue traditions from the Carolinas to Kansas City. Not all nuts are safe straight from the tree. Acorns, for example, are packed with bitter tannins that can upset digestion. Indigenous cooks mastered the art of leaching, soaking, and rinsing acorn meal in running water until the bitterness fades. Only then do acorns become the base for breads, porridges, and even coffee substitutes. These careful preparations reveal a pattern. Every culture finds ways to savor the flavor while sidestepping the risks hidden inside a shell. Deep in the Amazon, Brazil nut trees tower over the canopy, some older than 5 centuries. Their pods, as heavy as cannonballs, tumble down through the leaves, each one packed with seeds that will only form if a single kind of large rainforest bee visits the flowers. No bee, no nuts, and no harvest. Local families trek into the forest during the season, listening for the thud of falling pods and splitting them open with machetes. For them, these wild trees are both a livelihood and a bond with the forest itself. Close by, paradise nut trees offer a different gift. Their pods pop open with a sharp crack, scattering seeds across the ground. Indigenous communities gather these easy-to-open nuts, roasting them or grinding them into flour. For generations, both Brazil and paradise nuts have meant more than food. They are the taste of home and a warning of how much depends on the balance of the rainforest. American chestnut forests once stretched unbroken along the Appalachians, feeding entire towns and wildlife alike. That ended abruptly after 1904, when a fungus arrived on imported nursery trees and swept through the landscape. In just a few decades, billions of chestnuts died, leaving only scattered stumps and memories of easy harvests. Farther north, beechnut trees still stand, but their bounty comes and goes in unpredictable waves. Every 3 to 7 years, beech forests explode with nuts, fueling booms in mice, birds, and bears, then crash into years of scarcity. A forestry ecologist explains, "These cycles show how forests are built on fragile abundance. When disease or climate tips the balance, recovery is not guaranteed." The story of nuts is a reminder. Even the most reliable harvest can vanish, leaving both people and ecosystems searching for what comes next. Every nut on your table is shaped by global trade, climate change, and fragile ecosystems. Some depend on a single bee or tree species to survive. As demand grows, each bite asks us to consider, can our choices preserve this diversity, or will convenience crack the last shell? Share your thoughts below.